Lubrizol, the inventor and global producer of FlowGuard Plus CPVC. Billions of feet of FlowGuard CPVC piping systems have been installed across the globe.
Lubrizol has taken a local approach throughout our operation, and what that means is we have people local in the regions, we innovate in the regions, we buy raw materials in the regions, we manufacture and sell. So of course we're not tariff-free, but I think that we fared very well when we look across our markets and our businesses because we have products in the region. I come to Asia probably 4 or 5 times a year, and that's because this region is important for us.
Owns and operates more than 100 manufacturing facilities and offices around the world. Over the years, Lubrizol's team of experts have dedicated themselves to creating an array of CPVC solutions for providing better water management systems to their consumers. This has led to significant increase in demand. To meet the flourishing CPVC piping demand, Lubrizol has invested nearly $50 million in setting up the CPVC compound plant in Dahej, Gujarat.
Warren Buffett has made thousands of investment decisions in his career. He has backed banks, insurers, railways, energy companies. But in 6 decades of doing business in India, his company has never written a check this large. $150 million, Gujarat 2025. And it's not going into fintech, not into AI, it's going into pipes. Stay with me because this story is much bigger than it looks. Hi, this is Indranil and you are watching the Spotlight Media and Technology. Let's start with the facts. Lubrizol Corporation, a specialty chemicals giant owned by Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, has partnered with Aditya Birla Group's Grasim Industries to build an integrated 1 lakh ton CPVC resin manufacturing facility at Birla in Gujarat. The investment, $150 million, is the single largest capital commitment Lubrizol has made in India in its 6 decades of operating here. CPVC stands for chlorinated polyvinyl chloride. It's the specialty plastic compound going into plumbing pipes, fittings and fire sprinkler systems, the invisible circulatory system of every modern building. This isn't Lubrizol's only recent India move. They have doubled capacity at their CPVC compound plant in Dahej, expanded their specialty chemicals facility in Navi Mumbai, opened a medical tubing facility in Chennai. Total India investment across recent years, $350 million. Birla is the centerpiece, but it's part of a much larger deliberate, systematic repositioning of Lubrizol's entire India footprint. To understand why this bet is being made now, you need to understand the market Lubrizol is entering. India's CPVC market is currently valued at approximately 6,000 crore. India consumes around 250,000 tons of CPVC annually, making it one of the largest CPVC markets in the world. Demand is projected to grow at 10 to 12% annually over the next several years, effectively doubling the market within 5 to 6 years. What's driving that growth? 3 structural forces that aren't going away. First, rapid urbanization. India is adding urban population at a pace few economies in history have matched. Every new apartment, every new commercial building, every new hospital and hotel needs plumbing infrastructure. Second, infrastructure replacement. India is systematically replacing aging galvanized iron pipes which corrode, contaminate water and fail with CPVC, which is corrosion resistant, lightweight and durable. This is a national infrastructure upgrade cycle that will run for decades. Third, government policy tailwinds. Housing for All, Smart Cities Mission, Jal Jeevan Mission, every major central government infrastructure initiative creates downstream demand for exactly the materials Lubrizol and Grasim are positioning to supply. Lubrizol's CEO Rebecca Lebert put it directly, and I want you to note the precision of her language. India is one of the largest growth regions in the world. In 5 years, we should double our revenues here. High single-digit growth in India, low single-digit growth everywhere else. India is not a market Lubrizol is entering cautiously. It is a market they are betting on most aggressively and globally.
Lubrizol has taken a local for local approach throughout our operation, and what that means is we have people local in the regions, we innovate in the regions, we buy raw materials in the region, we manufacture and sell. So of course we're not tariff free, but I think that we fared very well when we look across our markets and our businesses because we have products in the region. I come to Asia probably 4 or 5 times a year, and that's because this region is important for us. We do R&D here. We're going to talk more about that new center, but we also manufacture in across the region in Singapore, obviously in China. We're manufacturing in Malaysia, some manufacturing in Japan, as well as Korea and Australia. So we have a very broad footprint here in the region.
What makes this investment structurally interesting is not just the size, it is the architecture. Lubrizol isn't building one plant and calling it a day. They are constructing a vertically integrated India supply chain. Vilayat produces the CPVC resin, the raw material. Dahej converts that resin into CPVC compound, the processed impact. Turbhe handles specialty chemical additives, the performance layer. Chennai produces medical grade tubing, the precision application. From raw resin to finished specialty product, the entire chain is now being built inside India. And the reason matters. Rebecca Lebert said something that should be a template for every multinational operating in emerging markets. It is difficult to understand what is needed on the ground in India by a team sitting in the US. That is why we have invested in R&D here in India. Local for local, not import and sell, not export and serve remotely. Build here, research here, compete from here. That is a fundamentally different strategic posture, and it signals a long-term commitment, not a market opportunism play. Now we get to the section that most business coverage skips. The spotlight media and technology doesn't. This is a $150 million investment in chlorinated plastic manufacturing in one of the India's most industrial dense corridors. And before we celebrate the capital flows and the growth projections, the price, there are 3 governance and sustainability questions that deserve serious public scrutiny. The first is the environmental production question. CPVC manufacturing involves chlorine chemistry. The chlorination process converting PVC to CPVC requires handling of chlorine gas and generates byproducts that include chlorinated organic compounds, some of which carry documented environmental and health risk. Wastewater management, air emission controls, and worker chemical exposure protocols are not peripheral concerns, they are central to the responsible operation of this facility. Vilayat sits within Gujarat's industrial belt, a region that has faced documented scrutiny over industrial pollution in the past. The question for regulators, civil security, and investors alike is this: what specific environmental standards will this facility operate under? Who monitors compliance, not a ribbon cutting, but at full 1 lakh ton operational capacity, and are those standards benchmarked to global best practice? And are those standards benchmarked to global best practice or to minimum Indian regulatory compliance? The second is the end of life and circulatory question. CPVC pipes are embedded inside walls. They go underground. They became part of the built environment for 50, 60, sometimes 100 years. When buildings are demolished, when infrastructure is replaced, CPVC is extraordinarily difficult to separate, collect, and recycle. India is currently in the early stage of building cities and infrastructure that will define its urban landscape for the next century. The materials choices being made today are being locked into the ground today. What is the long-term circulatory framework for the CPVC that will be embedded in India's infrastructure? Is there a take-back program, an end-of-life protocol, or are we solving a short-term infrastructure problem while creating a long-term material waste problem that a future generation will inherit? The third is the ESG commitments versus operational reality question. Lubrizol is a Berkshire Hathaway company. Grasim is part of Aditya Birla Group, one of India's most prominent conglomerates, with published sustainability commitments across its businesses.
Across Lubrizol, we're proud to say our science delivers sustainable solutions that advance mobility, improve well-being, and enhance modern life. Sustainability is embedded in our company purpose, a foundational part of our strategy and integral to our new product development. From clean fuels to clean water and clean hands, Lubrizol is innovating for impact, for our customers, and for consumers across the world.
Both entities carry significant ESG positioning publicly. The governance questions is straightforward. Will the Vilayat facility be held to the ESG standards both parent companies articulate in their annual reports, or will sustainability be the brand narrative while the joint venture operates to minimum regulatory compliance? This is not a cynical question. It is a necessary one, because the gap between ESG commitment and ESG operation is where accountability lives and where institutional investors, regulators, and civil society need to be paying attention. Step back from Gujarat for a moment and look at the global frame. The shift from metal pipes to plastic plumbing infrastructure, from galvanized iron to CPVC and UPVC is one of the quietest but most consequential materials transition happening across the developing world right now. It's happening in South Asia, Southeast Asia, Africa, the Middle East. Every urbanizing economy is making this transition and they are all looking for supply. India, with its scale, its manufacturing cost competitiveness, and now its vertically integrated CPVC supply chain is positioning itself to become the global manufacturing hub for this transition. When Warren Buffett backs a bet of this magnitude, markets pay attention. When that bet is in the foundational materials going into the infrastructure of the world's fastest growing economies, policymakers, regulators, and civil society need to pay attention too. 6,000 crore market, 150 million US dollar investment, 60-year milestone, 10 to 12% annual growth, Berkshire Hathaway, Aditya Birla, Gujarat. The numbers are compelling. The strategic logic is sound. The capital commitment is real. But India's infrastructure decade, the decade that will determine what kind of cities 1.4 billion people live in for the next 100 years, deserves more than compelling numbers. It deserves materials chosen with foresight, facilities operated with integrity, capital deployed with governance frameworks that matches the scale of the ambition. This is the Spotlight Media and Technology, where capital meets consequence, where infrastructure meets accountability, and where the real story is always underneath the headline. If this gave you a perspective you didn't have before, subscribe, share, and follow the Spotlight Beyond Profession, because the decisions being made in Gujarat today will shape India's cities for a century, and you deserve to understand them. Thank you very much for watching and signing it off.